And welcome back to the Hot Lap, where we are going to talk about what was an Oscar-worthy performance by, the race winner, the two-time race winner, Oscar Piastri. But let's be fair, it was kind of his first proper race win. No controversies here, at least for Oscar's point of view. Not a desperate lunge, a strategical lunge into the lead around lap 20 on Charles Leclerc. And, well, he soaked up all that pressure from then. Well done, Oscar Piastri. So, one of the most entertaining races of the year, bar none, at least in our opinion. I mean, I'm so happy. What can I say? So, when we share the screen with you here, you can see the top guys. So, we've got Oscar Piastri wins by, in the end, 10.9 seconds. Yeah, Charles Leclerc, let's just say his tyres went off a cliff. We've got I was going to say Lando Russell, but no, it was George Russell in third, 31 seconds down. Now, Lando Norris. Imagine that, Lando Norris finishing fourth. Who'd have had him, despite starting 17th, which was then 15th due to penalties? Lando Norris beating Max Verstappen, okay? Fernando Alonso in sixth. Alex Albon in seventh. Colapinto in eighth. A double Williams score. Colapinto scored more points in this race than you could make an argument of Logan Sargent and Latifi combined. So this kind of justifies Logan Sargent sadly going to the job centre. Lewis Hamilton in ninth. I mean, let's be fair, Lewis Hamilton was just in the late teens, wasn't he, for most of the race? Ollie Behrman in 10th, Hulkenberg 11th, Gasly 12th, Ricciardo 13th, Zhou 14th, Ocon 15th, Bottas 16th, and then indeed, we have got Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz 16th and 17th. I know, and as you can see, they are very much classified, but yeah, they didn't really finish the race, did they? We'll be talking about that in a bit, for sure. And then Lance Stroll, 19th, he went out in the end. And then Tsunoda, non-classified, last of the runners, but I don't think it's his fault. He was attacked by he was attacked by an Aston Martin, an angry Aston Martin that probably shouldn't have really been there. Yeah, but then this Aston Martin blames Tsunoda. What more would you expect from Lance Stroll? But the big question the big question I'd like to ask, though, when we look at this is the championship on? Well, is it? I mean, we've got Max Verstappen on 313 points. We've got Lando Norris on 254. Lando Norris actually gaining points on Max Verstappen. Could you imagine that? Then we've got Charles Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Carlos Sainz, Hamilton, Russell, as you can see there, Sergio Perez, Alonso, and Lance Stroll, the man himself. So, championship back on for the drivers. Yes, we all thought Max Verstappen was going to have a much better race than he really did. However, also, cause for celebration if you are a McLaren fan. Here we go. Here's Lando Norris laying down the champagne, spraying the champagne, if you will, on Andrea Stella. I think you'll see him there in a minute. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Scenes at McLaren, meaning championship leaders. I mean, McLaren are championship leaders. There he is. For the first time since 2014. And that was only because they had a good first race. Genuinely, it's going to be longer than that. But that's the first time in 20 years. Absolutely well done, McLaren. And here is the top three in the Constructors. McLaren leading on 476, 20 points ahead of the team that only lost one race in 2023. Not a big regulation change. It's not like, maybe I'm going to be taking a dig, but it's not like 2020 to 2021 where they changed the rate rules, which hurt teams like Mercedes and Aston Martin. No, it's just simply 476, 456. Red Bull have seemingly fallen off a cliff in terms of their performance compared to last year. I'm sure they'll get it right. I thought they had it right after practice. And then Ferrari and 425. Ferrari aren't out the running for the Constructors either. I mean, had Sainz finished, they would have scored a fair lick of points. And that didn't help, obviously, with the Sainz and Perez whoops-a-daisy. So, and there's McLaren there. I mean, the whole team celebrating. There's Oscar Piastri on his second win, his first proper win. I mean, that was a proper win, wasn't it? After lap 20, sucking up all of that pressure. I couldn't help but thinking, if it was the other way around with Charles Leclerc, could have been interesting. But yeah, So well done, absolutely well done to Oscar Piastri, absolutely fantastic. So let's then get into our winners and losers, shall we? And welcome, so our winners and losers. Let's take a breather quickly, shall we? And let's get into the man who finished last. I mean, what more could he have done? I don't think he could have done that much more, really, if I'm honest. I mean, this man, Yuki Tsunoda, I feel quite bad for him, really. I mean, him and Lance Stroll, they came together. Could have Tsunoda given him more space? Probably. Should Lance have been there? No, not really. Not really Tsunoda's fault. Yeah, sad, really. So next up, speaking of, I really try not to be mean to him, but speaking of Lance Stroll, there he is. Yes, he finished 19th. Moving on, we have Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz finishing 18th, sadly. We are going to get into that crash in a bit. Don't worry. Was it Carlos Sainz's fault? Was it Sergio Perez's fault? Well, the latest is that the stewards have said no further action, and I'll read that bit in a bit. Yeah, I'll double check, but no further action. Christian Horner's quite unhappy. He came out saying no, he wants further action, clearly. But there we go. So Sergio Perez, I mean, a racing incident. Maybe we'll get into the reasons in a bit, but there's Sergio Perez. Yeah, I mean, both of them, to be fair, Carlos Sainz and Perez could have avoided that, but they didn't. And it essentially nil for a weekend that looked really, really good, really, really good for Perez. So yeah, I'm kind of like a bit bummed out from really there, but so. Valtteri Bottas, not a good weekend. This is the kind of race where you thought maybe he could have squeezed a point. Got beaten by Zhou. I think Zhou started on the hard, which really had almost a detrimental effect. So Zhou finished 14th, but in between, one of the two people that started from the pit lane was Esteban Ocon, who finished 15th. Yeah, okay, solid. Yes, but there we go. I think Esteban Ocon finished it. Yeah, and also. After Esteban Ocon, we've got Daniel Ricciardo, who had an okay race. I mean, Tsunoda showed him up in qualifying. He sort of featured at times in the race. Never really, really looked like he was going to get any points, though, somewhat sadly. And now we've got Pierre Gasly, once again, featured in the race. Didn't look like he was really going to get any points, I think. But Hulkenberg looked like he could have got some points there. I mean, he was putting the pressure on Ollie Behrman as well. And in the end, it was Ollie Behrman, the Haas man. Yes, I know there's the Ferrari logo there, but it was Oliver Behrman that ended up winning that. So absolutely, congratulations. Well done to Ollie Behrman. What a race. I mean, he was racing with the best, and one of the best. When I say one of the best, there's 7 times, over 100 poles, over 100 victories, Lewis Hamilton. And I wouldn't say he wasn't showing Lewis up, but he was going toe-to-toe with one of the best in the world, and he looked good. Haas must be absolutely smiling. They were probably quite sad that they lost Hulkenberg, but now they've got this guy here. Yeah, they're gonna be absolutely beaming, I think. You can make an argument, like Behrman himself said, I was kind of like, indicated he was kind of lucky to get a point in the end, but still. But this man here, Lewis Hamilton, not a good race really. He started from the back of the grid. I kind of thought he'd do more. Bear in mind that we didn't even have a safety car. So, 9th place it is for Lewis Hamilton. Kind of average, but what was not average was the performance of both the Williams drivers. I mean, that was absolutely fantastic. Let's first of all talk about this man. Logan Sargent's replacement, fully justified now, without question. What a guy. I mean, people are saying they didn't expect him to be this good, and there he is. Here he is, giving Alexander Albon a run for his money. So, points for Williams, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And well done. Williams, a strategy, brilliant. Leaving Alex Albon out there for quite a long time really, really helped him get those points in the end. So, Williams really made up for leaving, for leaving the device in the airbox, let's say, in qualifying. And luckily, Albon didn't get a penalty there. And I also want to say, well done to this man here. I mean, Alonso, yes, he finished like a minute and a half behind, but still, you went 1 minute 25 seconds. I don't think you could have got anything more out of him. Pretty much best of the rest. In an Aston Martin that maybe shouldn't have even been in 6th place. Yes, he did have a bit of help, but still, I think absolutely well done. Well done, Fernando Alonso. So, finishing 5th, and he's going to be disappointed, isn't he? Is Max Verstappen. I mean, he must be thinking, goodness me, what on earth? Yes, he did. I mean, the gaps are obviously accentuated because of the end of the virtual safety car. So, no, he didn't. I don't think he would have finished a minute behind. However, he must be thinking, what do I need to do? What on earth do I need to do? At no point would you have thought that Lando Norris would have caught him and then passed him. And also, there was a key thing in the race between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris that I really want to get into. And well done to Lando Norris, because there are times before Austria this year that I thought you let people by too easy, and on much more worn tyres than Max, he was holding Max up and being the aggressive Lando that we know he can be from Austria as well. Instead of this time playing the defensive and stopping Max Verstappen, passing him, which was brilliant. I know Max was having his own issues there, but well done, Lando. And for that, he ended up passing Max. I don't think Max had an answer. Lando pitted with 14, 15 laps to go, and on the new mediums, caught Max Verstappen, and Max, as I said, did not really have too much of an answer for Lando Norris. Now we get into the podiums, into the podium places, and it's this man here once again. The luck of George Russell. He was there. You got to be in it to win it, and George Russell was there to take the absolute most out of any problems, and there he was going past the debris for Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez. And I mean, Charles Leclerc, well done, got pole, got a decent start, kept it, looked after his tyres well, and then you can't blame the Ferrari strategy. I just think it was just Oscar Piastri's absolute fantastic dive into the first corner, I think, on that one in the race. And then both Oscar Piastri and the McLaren just, had that straight line speed, that straight line edge, particularly in that last sector, just to stop Charles Leclerc passing. And he did need absolute defence. One mistake and Charles Leclerc would have passed. I mean, there was a couple of times coming off, not the final corner, but the final corner where you brake and you've got to put the throttle down carefully. Both of them skidding at times as well. And had Oscar Piastri messed that up, Leclerc probably would have been completely past them. There was at least one. There was that really good shot where both of them were almost skidding coming out of this particular corner. And, well, it was fairly exciting. So, man of the race, yeah, absolutely, Oscar Piastri. So, is the championship back on? Yes, I think it is. I can't believe I'll be saying it. I was thinking maybe. So let's get into this. Let's get into Carlos Sainz versus Sergio Perez, or Sergio Perez versus Carlos of the Sainz. And here it is. I mean, let's talk about this, shall we? Let's get into this, because it's going to be interesting. So we see here. This is the corner and this is the lap. Yes, the sun kind of makes it a bit difficult, let's say, at the very least, to see. But there's Sergio Perez. There he is. There is Carlos Sainz, and there's Charles Leclerc. So let's go to the next one. And as you can see here, Carlos Sainz is dead against the wall. There's Sergio Perez. There is a gap between them. They're going on the wall. Now, at this point, Carlos Sainz must know that Sergio Perez is alongside him, because they're fighting with each other. We're going a bit more forward and a bit more forward. Sergio Perez seems to just about have more momentum, because you can see he's just about catching up with him, but he's still, importantly, he is still behind Carlos Sainz. And Carlos Sainz is now coming away from the wall, but Sergio Perez is going straight, and then they hit. And then this is the next thing. I mean, you don't see much there. This is from the live shots. Here we go. Carlos Sainz is kind of coming across Sergio Perez, and then they hit. And then, oh my gosh. I mean, just look at that absolute disaster. Smashing into that wall there. And that's where we have it. Now, this shot is a bit more interesting. This is the helipad. This is the helipad shot, where once again, both of them side by side. And you can see from here that Carlos Sainz is right against the wall. It's right against the wall, and he moves away from the wall. I mean, you can see the white line there. In his angle there, but what I will say is Carlos Sainz, Sergio Perez is pretty much running a straight line, but now it almost appears his car's just a tiny bit angled towards Sergio Perez. Just a tiny bit angled towards Sergio Perez. But it's and you've got all this room there for Sergio Perez. We could have avoided it. And then Carlos Sainz, I mean, it's the slightest of touches here. And this is where they touch. And yeah, they just go, don't they? So, racing incident, I think most people are going to suggest, at least, it's a racing incident. I think it's also going to be a racing incident. I mean, yeah. So let's have a look. I'm just going to now quickly just have a look on the interwebs to see if there is an update on the Twitterati, to see if there's an update on why they haven't. More when isn't. So Oscar Piastri's come out and called it the most stressful afternoon of his life, which I think it probably is, really, if I'm honest. So they haven't really mentioned it. I have read some Horner blames Sainz for late crash with Perez. I think you could potentially. Here we go. So let me just share. If we can just share the screen here. Loads. God, adverts everywhere, aren't there? So Sainz and Perez cleared by the stewards over race ending Azerbaijan Grand Prix crash. Blame for the crash was on the penultimate lap in Baku, was laid at the door of both drivers, but stewards did not dish out any penalties. So they're exonerated, with the pair squabbling over third place coming out of turn 2 on the penultimate lap. They had a coming together that resulted in both cars hitting the barriers, as we know. Having struggled for form of late, Perez was back to his best and didn't finish. Sadly, that allowed, after talking to both drivers and studying the data from the incident as well, the stewards came back with a decision that no further action was necessary, labelling the crash a racing incident in which neither driver was predominantly at fault. Perez's frustration was clear. He definitely swore over the radio. It was a big accident. Unfortunately, I hit the barrier straight on the concrete wall. Honestly, I was coming quick behind Charles and Checo. I saved my tyres as well. Yeah, I overtook Checo when he was fighting Charles, Sainz said. Then I think we exited turn 2. I did my normal racing line. I didn't do any strange manoeuvre. And for some reason, I still didn't understand. We collided. Well, you kind of moved into him, Carlos. Sainz's version of events was very much at odds with how Red Bull. Helmut Marko said, I see Sainz made a rather... it wasn't abrupt, but there we go. It is Helmut Marko, isn't it? To the left, which triggered the crash. It was completely unnecessary. He stayed on his line, but the two of them... In response to Horner, called for the stewards to take action. Fred Vassar told me, if Horner is expecting for Carlos... then I'm expecting a grid penalty for Checo. He had plenty of room on the left-hand side. So, yeah. Yada, yada, yada. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Well done. Well done, though. Let's be fair. Well done to Oscar Piastri. What an absolutely amazing race. We'll speak to you soon. Like and subscribe if you can. That would be absolutely lovely. Hit the notification button so you do not miss a video. And we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.